myself. Again, my name is Helen Fugile, and I am from New Orleans, Louisiana. But because of Hurricane Katrina, we had to relocate to New Iberia, which is about 2 hours away. I graduated from Xavier University and lived in Houston, Texas for about 10 years. Met my first husband, and from that union came my absolutely beautiful daughter that I'm extremely proud of, that's Mia. And we stayed in Houston for a while, and then my dad got sick in New Orleans. So my family needed me. So I picked up everything I had in New Orleans, loaded up Nia, and that first marriage didn't work. And we moved to New Orleans to be with my parents. My dad had a heart transplant, and he lived 7 years after the transplant, so that's what brought me back home. But in the meantime, while I was in New Orleans, I happened to run into an old boyfriend that I used to talk to when I was about 15 years old, and we kind of started seeing each other, and long story short, we got married in 2003.
Amen.
2003. As a matter of fact, yesterday was our 10-year anniversary, but I decided to come and be with you all instead of him. So, you know, we got married and we had small, humble beginnings, and 1 year after our first anniversary, we bought a house. And when we bought the house, it wasn't a big, beautiful house. It was something small, but we were so excited because we didn't even think we qualified for a house.
All
so
right.
I went from room to room. I'm praising God in every room and so thankful. I'm listening to This Is Your Season and just so happy. Well, one day I was in the bedroom, and it was a Friday. I was getting dressed for work, and my husband was getting dressed as well. And my husband is about 6'2" or 6'3", real tall. And somehow, now we have ladies in here, one guy. You know, I don't want to be too, revealing or too explicit, but, you know, it's easy to bump a breast on any side. My husband's hand bumped the middle of my breast. Now, you tell me how his arm hit in between here, but I know that was just God's way of me finding the lump. Because I would have, maybe in checking I would have, but this particular day when he swung his arm, and it wasn't fighting, we were just passing each other, and it bumped right here. And you know, when you hit something, you rub it. So I rubbed that area, and when I rubbed the area, I felt a little small, round something. It didn't hurt, it wasn't big, and I told him, I said, put your hand right here and see what you feel. So he put his hand there, and he said, well, what is that, babe? I said, I don't know, but I'm the type of person, always have been the type of person, if anything hurts, I'm at the doctor's office. So as soon, I said, I don't know what it is, but I can assure you at the end of this day, I will know. So I went to work, went into my office, I called the doctor's office. She said, come in the same day. Went into her office, she said, you know, get undressed from your waist up. I took the clothes off, and she said, okay, well, let me do the breast exam. So she's going in the little circle, you know how the shower thing shows you how to go around. I took her hand, I said, right here. So when she touched right there, she said, okay, go ahead on and put your clothes on. So I put my clothes on, and I sat on the end of the table, and she said, well, it could be this, and it could be that. You know, like the cartoons, wak, 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 and I'm just kind of listening. And then she said, or it could be breast cancer. And I said, this lady really don't know. My dad died of a results of a heart transplant. My grandmother died of heart trouble. Breast cancer doesn't run in my family. There's absolutely no way I have breast cancer. That's what I'm thinking. So she said, go ahead on and get dressed, and I'll get my office to make an appointment for a mammogram and for an ultrasound. So in the meantime, I went outside and I called my husband. Now I'm boo-hooing. I never did ask him to come with me, but now I'm like, you didn't even come with me to the doctor. But I hadn't asked him. So when I went back in the office, the lady said, well, we'll give you an appointment. And I don't remember the exact date, but they gave me an appointment about a month out. So I said, they really don't know me. There's no way I'm going to have this lump in my breast and sit around for a whole month, to wait for this. So I went back to work, went back to my office. And when I did, I got on the phone and I called all over, and I got an appointment for the following Monday. Remember, this was Friday. So, of course, he and I went in on the Monday, and we went in, they did the mammogram first. And when they did that, the doctor said, well, not the doctor, the technician said, well, I really don't see anything that they're talking about. So we kind of started to get happy, like, oh, it's probably nothing. We kind of like, oh, good. But then when we went in for the ultrasound, the lady kept going over that area over and over again. And then she said, I see what they're talking about. So then the tears started falling on the side of my face, and I'm thinking, oh, my God, what is this? So she said, well, it just looks like little grapes. It may not be anything, but you just never know. A couple days later, they scheduled me for the biopsy. When I went in for the biopsy again, my husband went in with me. I don't know what it was in that car, but we fell out probably over nothing. But we didn't even talk much. We didn't say much to each other for about an hour. We were sitting in a room waiting for the doctor. You know how sometimes they call your name, they put you in that little room, and they keep you in there forever where it's cold? Well, that's what they did, and this is my first time being there, so I'm saying, now this is just too unprofessional. How she sit you in this room for a whole hour? And I'm just so upset, and I'm not talking to him, so I'm really mad. So we're sitting there, and then she came in and she said, I just want to apologize for taking so long. She said, but the lady who I just saw, she has breast cancer. She said, when I give that news, I really like to spend time with the person. So, of course, all of my anger just immediately left. I'm thinking, how, inconsiderate of you. So she said, well, come on, we're going to go in the other room. So we left my husband sitting in that room. So we go into the other room. I get on the table. She does the needle biopsy. So then she, like that first person, because, just talking. And then she said, well, if it's cancer, we could do radiation, we could do chemo, And I told her, I said, you know what? If it's cancer, you don't have to worry about what we're going to do, because I'm going to drop dead when you say you have cancer. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to drop dead. She said, well, you know what? Let me go and talk to that handsome husband of yours in the other room. And I was so far past thinking that I could have it that I didn't even realize that that's what she meant. She was going to tell him. So I put my clothes on and I went in the room, and when I went into the room, his eyes were about the color of this red thing right here. Absolutely, just red, 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 red. And I said, what's wrong with you? He said, babe, come on, don't worry, come on, let's just go. So we walked outside, and he was holding my hand, and he said, she said she's 99% sure that you have breast cancer. And of course I started to cry, and I said, you know what, take me to my mama. I need to go. I said, let's go to my mama's house. So we went to my mom's house, and I told him, and that was the biopsy. She told us we would come back in a couple days to get the results. So I said, well, when we go back for the results, I don't just want you to come with me, because you were kind of weak. We need some more support. So I had my brother to come. I said, okay, well, you need support so that you can support me. So on the Wednesday, when we went in to get the results of the biopsy, I was pulling up a chair for my brother, and as I pulled it up, I said, no matter what the doctor says, y'all, we're going to be fine, okay? And as soon as I said that, the doctor walked in behind me, and she said, I'm glad you feel that way. You have breast cancer. Wow. And I said, the tears started to come. And she said, well, the breast cancer that you have, it doubles in size every 30 days. So I said, can you take it out today? She said, I can't take it out today, and this was on a Wednesday. She said, but I can take it out Friday. So my brother, my husband, and I went and had all of the pre-op work done. And when we left away from there, again, it was a Wednesday. Some of you may be familiar with who Bishop Paul Morton is in Louisiana. Well, that was the church that we belonged to. And whenever a person was going up for surgery, he would pray. He would lay hands on us and pray. So I told my husband, I got to get to the church. I got to get to the church. So he and I went to the church, and it was actually his wife's birthday, and lots, that's a mega church, lots of people at church. So we came up, and, there was Bishop Paul S. Morton's wife, which is Deborah Morton. She was on the side of him. And, he thanked me. He told my husband, this is what a man's supposed to do, stand right there behind his wife. And he's talking to my husband. And she looks at me in my eyes. Now, mind you, I just been told I have breast cancer, right? She looks at me and she said, you're healed. And I said, and I'm getting mad now. I'm thinking, how dare you say I'm healed? I just been told I have breast cancer. She said, you are, and I guess she saw the doubt in my face. She said, you are healed. And I just still didn't get it, So that was the Wednesday. I went in. Then the Thursday came. My husband went to work. I was home by myself, and I really didn't want anybody to talk to me about cancer when I had been diagnosed. I didn't want to talk about it. As much as I run my mouth about it now, I didn't want to talk to anybody. They were like, oh, so-and-so had cancer. She can have, don't want to talk to anybody. So what I did, that Thursday my husband went to work, I put on Shirley Caesar, You're Next in Line for a Miracle. I cried snot, tears, everything just coming. I said, let me get it out. And then I said, okay, God, we're going to do it. We're going to get through this. Because at that point, they didn't know if it had spread, if it was in the lymph nodes, if I'd have to have chemo or whatever. So we went to the hospital the Friday, and all of my family and friends were there. And praise God, when I came from surgery, it had not spread, and it was stage 1, and I did not have to have chemo, only radiation. So, I'm home getting better, and my husband was still working. I had taken a leave and was on disability. So one day I was sitting on the side of the bed and dealing with disability stuff. And I thought, I said, you know, what do people do when they have cancer and they don't have a job and they don't get this little disability that I'm getting? How do they make a decision on what do they pay? Do you pay your light bill? Do you buy your medicine? What do you do? And I sat there and I said, one day I'm going to pay bills for people with cancer. And just that fast, the devil came in my ear and said, how you going to pay his bills? You can barely pay your own bills. And I kind of chuckled because I didn't recognize it as him. I'm just thinking, I really can't pay my own bills. I'm going to pay somebody else's bills. So, you know, time went on, and here comes Hurricane Katrina. I healed and went back to work, and everything was fine. And then Hurricane Katrina came. We lost everything. My mom lost everything. My brother lost everything. And we relocated to New Iberia. And ever since I had breast cancer, I always wear something pink or something that says cancer. I'm always talking, like I said. So I went into a dry cleaners one day, and this young girl, she was waiting on me, and I had on, I think maybe just a wristband that said Susan G. Komen or something. And she said, you got this cancer stuff? I said, oh yeah, I'm a survivor, you know. And she said, oh, that's good. So she proceeded to help me with my clothes and everything. I walked outside, and when I put my husband's clothes on and I looked up, she was standing on the side of the door. And I said, kind of startled me. And she said, can I talk to you? And I said, yeah. She said, my aunt, and I think I may have mentioned I was from New Orleans. She said, my aunt has cancer. She's from New Orleans, and by way of Hurricane Katrina, she's in New Iberia as well. She doesn't want anybody to know that she has cancer, and I just don't know what to do. She was a young girl. She didn't know how to handle that much pressure. She said, I don't know what to do, and she doesn't want anybody to know. I said, well, you know what? Give me her phone number. And she may be upset, but let me try to talk to her. So I contacted the lady, and she was very open to talking to me. She told me that she could barely walk. I went out and bought her a walker. And one small thing that I forgot to mention is when I was going through my battle, you know, people give you books to read, prayers to read. Somebody gave me a little small book that's in my purse. It's called Healed of Cancer. It's by Dodie Osteen, Joel Osteen's mom. She had, not breast cancer, she had a form of cancer, and I think it was stage 4. The doctor said you can either go home and die, or you can stay at the hospital and die, but you're going to die. And the woman is still living. So. And they said she was going home and stand on God's word, and that's what she did. So what I started doing, I started buying those books in bulk. So whenever somebody has cancer, as a matter of fact, I have 2 here with me today that if anybody knows somebody with cancer, you can share it with them. You can have those books. But I started to do that, you know, based on this one particular lady. I gave her a couple of dollars, and that was kind of how I started. So whenever somebody knew someone had cancer, I'd get on the phone and, you know, talk to them and try to make them feel better. I don't know what it is that I say that make people feel better, but they always say, oh, girl, I feel so good after I talk to you. Well, I really don't know what it is, you know, but I just kept doing it, you know, kept doing what I do, giving a couple dollars here, buying. One lady told me she liked the little Edie's strawberry popsicles because of the chemo. So I would just do little things, but I never thought I was doing what I should be doing. So fast forward, that was in 2005 or 6 to 2010. My pastor was on a Tuesday night at Bible study, and he called my name. He said, Sister Fusila, I need to see you after service. So I went up to him, and he said, you know, I know your passion for cancer. He said, I want you to help me raise money for Relay for Life with the American Cancer Society. I said, well, of course I will. So I left church, and I was driving home. And I could really, if you knew where I live, I could probably tell you exactly where I was on the street. But I'm driving, and I said, okay, God. I said, I've been asking you for the past 6 years to tell me what can I do to help other people. And you're just not telling me. I want to do something really big where people can really get a lot of it. I'm just talking to them like that. And all of a sudden, I don't know. I mean, people ask me all the time, how do you know it was God? Because I know. I don't know how I know that, but I know that I know that it was him. And he said to get people to donate new or gently worn shoes, resell the shoes, and take that money, and that's what you give away to the cancer patients. And you name it, Walk in My Shoes Foundation. So you know, I started telling people about it, and you know, they were like, "Oh, I get the chills when I hear about it. How did you think about that?" I said, "I didn't think about this. This is what God gave me." So I stood in front of my church, and I asked all the ladies to donate the shoes, and they did. And we had shoes, y'all, all over. And all of my family members, guys, women, everybody wiping them off, putting them together. And on a Saturday, we were open from like 9 till 12, and we made $500. And I said, you know what? This is not just for American Cancer Society. This is what God wants me to do from this point forward. So that's what I did. I started the nonprofit organization, Walking My Shoes Foundation. And it's been really, really good. You know, I don't want to be up here all day. I know we got lots of things to do, but just the lives that I touch. And I was telling somebody since I've been here, the thing that touches me so much is when I help people, they always want to help me back. You know, I went to an oncology center one day and I gave out, and the majority of what I do now is give out gas cards for $100 so that nobody has to miss a doctor's appointment because they don't have gas in their car. So I went to oncologist and I gave out some cards, and this lady said, "Come with me to my car. Come with me." And she had a bag of oranges and lemons that she took out of her yard. And she said, "I want to give you this." And it just made me feel so good because you know what? They don't have money. Of course, I'm giving them money. But whatever they have, they're willing to give to me. And it's the prayers that are said over my life that mean so much to me. Everybody that I give to, they're always praying that God would enlarge my territory or bless me or whatever, you know. But that's what I get from it. It's just, you know, helping other people. So, you know, I've been doing it since 2010. Again, my dream is to have Walking My Shoe stores all across the United States. I was blessed in August of 2012 to open a little shoe store. So at the shoe store, we're selling shoes Monday through Friday, and you know we collect the money and take the money and we buy gas cards, we buy grocery. As a matter of fact, I got a call from a lady the other day. She's about 65 years old, and she said, "You know, I have sores in my mouth from the chemo." She said, and her husband's even older than she is. She said, "We get meals." I don't know if y'all have Meals on Wheels out here. You do? And you know, that's not the best food. You know, it's hard sometimes. It's not good or whatever. And she said that it's hard for her to put that food in her mouth, you know, and swallow it. So she asked me, could I help her somehow to get groceries so that she can take some meat and cook it all day so that it's tender and, you know, good for her mouth. So I gave her a grocery store card for $100. And she went out and she bought her groceries. So that helped her. I've paid rent. I've paid utility bills, just lots and lots of things that I try to do for the patients. It's very, very, very rewarding to me just to see the look on people's faces. I was with my mom at a doctor's appointment, and there was a guy who I wasn't even talking to. He was talking to someone else, and he said, "You know, my wife's been battling cancer since 2004, which was the year that I had it, and it's 2013. And I'm thinking, my Lord, that's a long time. He said, "You know, we've been going back and forth." So I said, I got gas cards in my pocket. So I got up, I went over to him, and I said, "I really don't mean to interrupt your conversation, but I want to give you this." And the man's looking around like, "Is this real? You know, people just walk up to you and give you money." I'm like, "Yeah, this is real, you know." So when his wife came back from treatment, she was like, "Come on, let's go." He's like, "No, you really need to meet this lady right here." So, you know, I met them, and it's just been really good. So, you know, again, my prayer is for Walking My Shoe stores to be across the United States. Passes starting. You know, when I tell my story, I always kind of tell it just like I told you. I mentioned my pastor. From now on, you certainly are a part of the story. I have to tell it, and I've got to include you in it. I thank you for everything. And, you know, we do different things. We sell shirts. Y'all, I have shirts on this table. That's a way of raising money. We get the shoes, we clean them up, we resell the shoes. And once a year, I do a shoe fashion show, which is really, really nice. And we raise money that way. Pastor's giving me some good ideas, and I'm going to just try to spend more time raising money because I know it has potential. It's just that it's kind of difficult to do when you have a full-time job. You know, you're trying to make a business grow. But that's what Walking My Shoes is about. Just trying to help out.